What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the vlog, episode 2. We're excited that you're here with us today watching. For all of the people who are new to the channel, welcome. We love you. And this channel is all about sharing the hope and love of Jesus to people who are out there doing everyday life. We want you to know that we love you and somebody sees you. So today, before I get to that, today we're going to be talking about my story, my testimony. But before I get to my story and my testimony, I just want to take a minute to thank everybody who liked the video, who watched it, who shared it, who commented. Man, thank you so much. That's awesome. I would have never expected the response that we got, and that is just very encouraging to me. So again, thank you. We appreciate it, and we love you for that. If you haven't, go back and watch the first video, like this video, share it, leave a comment. I'd love to interact and talk with you guys in the comments about what we're doing next. But today we'll be setting up the foundation so that I can talk to you a little bit more about my testimony. All right, so my name is Paul. I'm 33 years old. I'm the oldest of 4, and I know I just kind of jumped in here, but I didn't know how else to do it, so we're just gonna dive right in, right? I grew up in Houston, Texas. I grew up in church. Man, it was an experience going to church from a young age, but I was there every time the doors were open. And so I loved going to church. I loved going with my siblings and my parents. I grew up in a household where I was very fortunate to have both of my parents. Most people in the neighborhood, most kids in the neighborhood where I grew up, they didn't have both parents. So that was very important to me, and I didn't realize how much pride I took in that until, my years as a teenager, my adolescent years. But I grew up in church, and, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but I knew who God was, but I never had an encounter with him. I never had an experience with Jesus. And that's a big difference. I heard every Bible story. I heard all of the church songs, and so by the time I got to high school, I was jaded. I didn't want anything to do with church. I didn't want anything to do with God. I wanted to go my own way. I didn't want to be drugged to church anymore. I was done, right? It was about that time where my parents got separated, and I began to question things. I began to question why the Lord would allow something like this to happen in my life. And I think that led me to when I got to college to start, just venturing out, partying. I never partied in high school. I was a very sheltered kid. My parents made sure that they kept me away from that kind of life, and I'm glad that they did, because spending years in college and just partying and just diving into drugs and alcohol was not the way that I really wanted to live, and it's not the way that I knew to live. But dealing with pain and hurt and not knowing how to talk about those things and handle those things in a mature way led me to the party lifestyle. And I can remember very vividly graduating high school and having no idea what I was going to do with my life. Having some scholarship offers available to me and taking those offers and just running with it, right? Like, not wanting to stay home. Like, my parents told me, and tried to advise me the best they could: Paul, stay home, go to community college, you can be here. And, they could kind of, help me grow. But I said, no, absolutely not. Like, I want to just go off to the university, have the big school experience. And so I did just that, and it backfired on me horribly. When I look back on my school experience now, I wasn't in school to get an education. I was in school because I wanted to party, and I wanted to go as far away as I could from any kind of lifestyle that served the Lord. And so I did just that, you know, and it led to years of addiction, to years of running away from my issues, my hurts, my habits, my hangups, and never dealing with those things, not being emotionally healthy, things like that. So it's important to me now to grow in those areas, to continue to grow in those areas. I've done a lot of work on my recovery, on my emotional health, on my mental health, and so that is very, very important to me in this season of my life. But again, I just wanted to kind of share a foundation and share a little bit of background about myself. Next week, when we come back and do episode 3, I want to dive more into my testimony and the last 3 years of my life and how the Lord's been working, you know, in my life and growing me. It's important to me that people know that God is so good, you know, and he can take our mistakes and use those things for the good, you know, and I've seen it happen in my own life. And so that's what I want to share with others. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to end the video here today. I want you guys to know that you're loved. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a few weeks.